The hyper-focus, Mr. Darling, and the hyper-focus was the insurance.
The call, yeah.
Money.
It was about the policy.
And the prosecutor confronted Darling about his question to Trooper Coons and a doctor the day Wanda went off the cliff.
Were you worried about whether or not she might have said something if she wasn't quite dead when she hit bottom?
There would be no reason for me to be worried. There was no reason for me to be worried.
The jury listened very carefully. Were these skillful excuses? Or could they believe Jay Darling's story of what happened to Wanda all those years ago? Now it was their turn. The trial, the string of accusations, the litany of denial, had drawn a crowd of spectators to Homer's little courthouse for 3 weeks running. Now each side had one last chance to persuade the jury. If he's found guilty, Jay Darling could spend the rest of his life in prison. If not guilty, he'd walk out of the courthouse a free man.
Well, this is our guy, and I would submit to you that the evidence in this case has shown beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Darling killed his wife, but he killed her for the money.
The cause of death, fall from a coastal cliff. The manner of death, undetermined. There's not enough evidence to say homicide or accident. Reasonable doubt.
And now it was time. The jurors left the courtroom. Wanda's family waited.
Yeah, it was bad. It was very nerve-wracking.
Nerve-wracking, too, for the jurors who would choose. Well, the whole town watched them. 3 of them, Paula Snell, Rick Bates, and Sandra Stark, agreed to tell us what happened.
Well, we kept going back to what was the scenario at the top of the bluff, trying to crystallize, well, what happened, and then as part of it, what proof do we have?
Back and forth they went. Did he push her? Did he want her dead?
Everybody in the room felt what happened.
In some fashion thought he probably pushed her or had something to do with her going over.
Or a few of them wondered, was it something else?
I went more of thinking that possibly she did get lightheaded and maybe she did faint.
And what did they make of the kayaking incident the day before Wanda's death? Did Jay try to kill Wanda that day?
If that was his plan, that would have been the perfect time to do it.
Mr. Darling, did you push Wanda Darling off the bluff in Homer here on Sunday, the 24th of August, 1997?
No, I did not.
And what about Jay Darling's testimony? That it helped him or hurt him?
I felt he was an individual that could say certain things and believe them himself, but they were not what I would call the truth.
For 3 days, they reviewed the evidence, counted the votes again and again, and finally, agreement.
Under the case name and caption, State of Alaska versus J.R. Darling.
Jay Darling and Wanda's family steeled themselves for the verdict.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn to try the above-entitled cause, do find the defendant, J.R. Darling, not guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree as charged in the indictment.
Not guilty.
It was like all the air got let out of the room. There was an audible and
How could you?
how could you type of an attitude. And